I'm about to make a name for myself.
What's going on, guys? Justin here, back again with another video. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do a Spider-Man taser web effect. Just like that. Now, it's been a while since I've done a VFX tutorial on my channel, but I thought that now would be the perfect opportunity to do one, because these taser web effects are actually for my good friend Lucas, for his Spider-Man Bye 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 Dance and Fight music video from, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine, but it's a Spider-Man version. And he asked me if I could do some taser web effects for the video, so I thought that now would be a good time to record me doing the effects while also making it a tutorial video at the same time. I've done some taser web effects for him in the past, which you'll see in his Spider-Man red and black suit unboxing video, as well as some for Spider-Man Dimension Rift. So I've got some more experience under my belt, so I thought it was a good idea to make a tutorial this time around. And the cool thing about it is that I'm working on Lucas's video whilst also working on my own video at the same time, which is the tutorial. So I'm sort of working on two videos at once. But the funny thing is that this intro that I'm recording right now is being recorded like 3 weeks after the Bye 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 video was out, because the original intro that I recorded was just from me in my editing software. But you know, I thought it'd be better to record an intro face to face to you guys. So yeah, anyway, I'm not going to waste your guys' time. You're here to do a Spider-Man taser web effect, so let's just get straight into it. So as you can see, I'm using Wondershare Filmora. I mean, you would know that from the title of the video. And I've got all of my elements and my footage here. Well, not my footage, this is footage of Lucas for his video. But here are the clips that we have. So the first one we have is this one.
Action.
Hey Karen, I'm a little mad right now. Do me a favor and activate taser web for me, will ya? 1, 2, 3.
So just one of Spider-Man webbing his web, and as you can tell, the suit is it's very clean. I'm kind of jealous. And the second one is this one of the web hitting the bad guy.
Action.
3, 2, 1, bam!
And the third one is just this one, which is obviously a recreation of what Deadpool does in Deadpool and Wolverine, where he's sort of holding the camera and looking at the audience.
Ready? Up and ahead. 3, 2, 1, action! Come!
Love these shots. So me showing you these shots is just sort of giving you guys an idea of what you would sort of be filming for your fan film or for your video, for your skit or whatever. I think these shots are a perfect representation of what your shots would probably look like, and these are perfect shots for the tutorial. Although I'm only going to be doing this shot for the tutorial, and the one where Spider-Man webs and the one where the guy gets hit. This one is slightly more complicated just because it's on a bit of a different angle. So this is sort of like, not really like a beginner's tutorial, but it's something to start you off, let's say. And then when you learn how to do taser webs more, then these sort of shots that are a little more on a difficult angle is something that you can learn by yourself later. So I think the 2 more simple shots is what we're going to do for the tutorial today. So yeah, let's just get straight into it. Okay, so I've just set up my shots for the tutorial. Now, just for the sake of the tutorial, I've cut down the clips just for a little bit, so I've just started it from here, and then just sort of cut it down so it sort of immediately goes to the guy getting tased by the web. And just for the sake of the tutorial, I'll just cut this down a little bit too. But once the effect is actually done and I send this to Lucas, I'll put the audio back and I'll extend the clips back where they were, because I don't know how much of the footage he actually wants. So I'll fix that up when I actually finish doing the effects. But for the tutorial for now, I'm just going to keep it like this. So firstly, obviously we've got our footage of Spider-Man webbing and then the guy getting tased, and these are the effects that we got here. So the first one that we have is this one, which is the one that we're going to be using for the web actually coming out of his wrist and then later going on to the thug here. And when he actually gets tased, we're going to be using this one. So it's sort of going to be like wrapped around one side of his body to the other side of his body. And then we've got some other effects here that I might use. I'm not too sure, but these are just extra ones just in case I decide to use them. I probably won't. Third one is this smoke effect, which is just one that I found on YouTube ages ago, and I've been using it for a while now. And this one's just a PNG of a blue glow. This one's more optional optional, but you can use it if you want to make it the webs look a little more glowy in the shot. But we'll just be sticking to these 3 here, and these 2 here are from a website called Production Crate, which I've mentioned in my videos countless times, and it's a really good website to get free visual effects for your videos. And you can also upgrade to Production Crate Premium or whatever it's called to get paid effects. But if you're looking for some really good effects for free that you want to use in your videos, I strongly suggest going to Production Crate, and I'll leave the link to the website in the description below so you can check it out yourself. But anyway, without further ado, let's get on with this. So what we want to do is actually what I'll do first is I'll just lock the footage here. I'll make this a little bit bigger. So what we want to do is we want to go to the part in the video. Let's just spread this out so you can see all the individual frames on the timeline, and I want to move this right where to when he webs. So let's go about not that one, but let's go the one after. I think that would be pretty good. So I'll go to the frame not right when his hand is in the gesture, but the frame afterwards, so about here. And a good way to test the timing is just get your raw effect and just place it on top and see what that looks like. Yeah, I think that's good timing. So let's just put that back for the moment. So yeah, this frame is the one I'm going to choose, and the effect that I'm going to be using is this one right here. So what I want to do is I want to go to the frame where the effect actually starts properly. So I want to say it's a bit of a tricky one because sometimes one of the frames doesn't have it in there. I think what I want to do, you can sort of do this on your own and try and figure out which frame you like the most, but I'm going to go with this one here. This is going to be my starting shot. Now go back to where you want the frame where he shoots the web out, and then just bring the start of where you want it to start to about here, and then just delete that extra part. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag the end of this taser to where the clip of Spider-Man ends, so about here. And then what I'm going to do, the next step is you want to double click on your clip, go to this little lock icon on the left hand side where the transform and basic and video tab is, and just click that. Now that gives you a bunch of free movement to move it around however you want in all different types of directions, because if you keep that locked you're only limited to making it bigger and smaller. So if you unlock it, then you can stretch it sideways, you can stretch it down and up. You have more ways to sort of shape your taser. What we want to do is you want to double click on it, you want to make it smaller to whatever sort of size that you want. I'm going to go to about, started off I'm going to go to about this small, and you want to sort of angle it where he's shooting the web out of his web shooter, so probably about here I would say, somewhere about there, and you just want to make it smaller and smaller and smaller as it starts. So for the first one I'm going to go about here. So that's going to be the first frame of the taser web coming out of his web shooter. So now that you have that set up, what you want to do is you want to go to the effects tab. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make this effect look better than it already is. So you want to go to the effects tab and search in border. And once you've done that, select the border effect, which is this one right here, the first one. Click and hold and drag and drop it on top of the taser web effect. And basically what that does is it makes it a little more glowy. So if I get rid of it, just watch the difference. Before and after. Now it looks white right now, but that's because if we double click on the taser web, go to the effects tab, see the border effect, you can see it's because the start and the end colors of the border are white. But if we change that to, let's say, light blue, now it's a bit more blue. Now this does make it blue, but it doesn't make it look super glowy. So another thing that you can do is go back to when it was white and then go to the video tab of the effect and then scroll down to drop shadow. Now if you turn that on and then select the color to light blue, put the distance all the way down, put the opacity all the way up, put the blur down a little bit. That sort of gives you a little bit of blue glow around it, or you can make it a little more vibrant and go more vibrant blue. That sort of makes it a bit better. But if you want to make it even more blue, go to the effects tab again and change the border color to blue again, and then you have this nice blue glowy web. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a bit more of a brighter blue so it stands out a bit more. And I think that looks a little bit better. So hopefully that wasn't too confusing, but now that you have that set up, now you can start to actually do the effect itself. So after you've done that, usually what I would say for these type of effects is double click and then go to the keyframe icon, but considering this effect sort of disappears like every second frame, we don't want to do that. Instead what we're going to do is we're going to go to the next frame And since you can't see it here, we're going to go down, split it by clicking the scissors icon, go to the next frame where you can actually see it, and then get rid of that other frame that you just cut. So now you have 2 frames of the web that you can actually see. So what we're going to do is we're just going to keep cutting out all of the parts where you can't see the actual taser web. So I'll cut out this one and that one because I can't really see it, and maybe that one too because it's a bit faded, and we'll keep that one, so we'll just get rid of this chunk. Now, it might be different depending on the effect that you download or depending on the frame that you start on, but just make sure you just keep the frames where you can actually see the electricity, otherwise you're going to have like flickering like this and it's not going to look the best. So for this we probably only need maybe 4 frames of taser, so I'm going to cut out these ones and let's keep this one, get rid of that last chunk. And now we only have 4 frames of taser web that you can see. So now that you have that set up, you've got your 4 frames. Well, it might be more considering how far away you are from the camera, but since Spider-Man is very close to the camera here, we may only need 4 or 3. We'll just see how we go. So this first frame of the taser will remain the same. That's still going to be the same for the first shot. But if we go to the next frame, what we want to do is we want to click on it and we want to make it a bit bigger, maybe tilt it, and just move it a little bit, maybe around here. Let's see what that looks like. So we're sort of traveling it across the screen, making it travel across the screen, about there. You can even angle it up just a little bit and tilt it. And if you really want to, you can just sort of edit that first frame a little bit, just to sort of make it flow a little bit better. I think that looks pretty good. Now for the third frame, we just want to keep making each frame bigger and bigger as it travels across the screen, because this taser web in particular, his hand is very close to the screen, so we want to make it look as realistic as possible. So probably not about there, let's go about maybe here, probably angle it up a bit more, tilt it a bit more. I think that's starting to look a little bit better. Might just let it sit in the frame a little bit. Now considering that this is traveling very fast, this is telling me that we probably don't need that 4th frame, so we can just go ahead and delete that. So now we've got 3 frames of the taser web traveling across the screen, and I might just put that up a little bit more. And once you think you're happy with it, you can just play it and see how it goes. Do a quick render and let's just see what that looks like. So it's very quick across the screen. I think it looks pretty good. Now that is not the end. This is just pretty much the start of the actual effect. So what we want to do is go to your second frame of the taser web, double click on it and go to video, basic and transform, and where you can see the scale sliders here, something you can do is go to the X position and just sort of put it up a little bit, and that sort of stretches the effect out a little bit. And what that kind of does is it makes it so you can sort of see it a little bit more when the effect plays out. And if you really want to, you can do that with the third one as well, so you can sort of see it a little bit more as it goes past the screen. I'm probably not going to do that for this, well not that much anyway. I'm probably going to put it down just a little bit, but I think the way it was before looked pretty good, so we'll just keep it sort of like this. Now the next thing you want to do is go down here where the timeline is and where your effects are here, and just select all of them, copy them and then paste them. Then after you've done that, obviously you've got 2 now, and what you want to do is you want to get the ones that you've just pasted and put them on top of the effect that you've just done, and now there's 2. And what that sort of does is it actually makes it more bright and more glowy. So if you watch it back now, it's actually a lot brighter. Now, after you've done that, you want to actually paste them again and put them on top again. But this time, what you want to do is, let's just highlight these in yellow so we can separate them from the bottom ones. And what we want to do with this third set is double click on your first one, go to the video basic transform and go down to the flip area, and then press this icon here twice. And what that's done is it's sort of made the effect just look a little bit better, because if you get rid of that, it looks a little small. So if you put that one on there, then it sort of makes the effect more noticeable. And once you go to the next frame, you can do that again, go to where the flipping is, press this twice, and you can see it better. And then do that for the third one too, press this twice, you can see it a bit better. Now after you've done that, you just want to copy them, paste them, and then put them on top, and then they stand out more. And then I'm just going to render that, and then let's watch that back. So now you can see the taser much more, and it stands out much more than it did before, and I think that looks much better. If this tutorial gets a little bit more confusing, just sort of watch it back more and more if you need to, or pause on parts where it might start to get a little bit confusing. This tutorial is a lot more complicated than a standard web effect, because this involves a lot more copy and pasting and different glowy effects and all that type of thing, but normal web effects are much easier to do than taser webs, I think, especially when it comes to just shooting like a web ball or one single taser. I think it's much easier when you're doing it with just normal webs instead of tasers, because this takes longer to do. So now that we've got that one, we're going to work on the one where the guy gets hit, which is this one right here. So what you want to do for this one is just go to where you were with the effect on Spider-Man and just copy and paste that first chunk of effects that you had before, just the first set, not all of these, just the first one. And what you want to do is just drag the video out and try and find maybe one more frame of that taser, sort of like that one that we cut out before because we didn't need it. So we've got one more now, so now we have 4, and we're going to use 4 because there's a different type of way that we're going to do it for when this guy actually gets tased. So what we want to do is let's go to the first shot where he starts to move, so about here. And what we want to do is we want to get our last taser web shot and then size it down, let's say about here on his chest, around here, about that size I would say. And then we want to get our other frames and we're basically going to work on it backwards. So we're going to go to the frame before that, size it down, let's go about, see what that looks like. That's too close, so we're going to go more on an angle here just to sort of make it look a little more realistic. So let's go more on an angle, probably about here. I'm sort of going to like squish the effect in more to make it look more angle-like. So probably about this looks pretty good, about there. Might just move it back a little more. And then let's go back again. And you just want to keep doing this until the timing of it feels right. See what that looks like. Maybe about here. Might just move this second one across a little more. It's really up to you of what you think feels best for this effect. And then the last one, we might not need it, but we'll just make it like this big. Let's put it about here maybe, right in the corner, a little bit. Might move this one a little more. Yeah, it's sort of up to you how many frames you use for this. It just really depends on how close or far the subject is to the camera. So let's do a little test to see what that looks like. I think that looks really nice actually. That turned out better than I thought. Now I know he's looking directly towards the camera and not to the side where the web is actually coming from, but this is probably the most realistic you can get with, you know, getting free effects from a website. So if we play that together, I think that looks pretty good. Now, if we really wanted to, we could do it from this side, but the other characters are sort of looking over in this direction, so I think it makes sense for the web to come from this side. So I think this looks pretty good. Now that you've got 4 frames set up, which was my choice for this particular video to do it on, what you want to do is you actually just want to drag it out and find another frame of web, maybe one more, maybe let's go this one here. So now you have 5. So what you want to do is you want to get that last one, keep it positioned on his chest here, sort of where it was before, but you want to stretch it inwards or shrink it, let's say. So it's sort of like dissolving or shrinking on his chest, so about here. So that way it's actually going into his chest now. So one small one at the end really sells the effect a little better. So I think that looks good. Now let's do what we did before with the other one. Let's copy and paste all of these, put them on top. Now the effect is much more bright and glowy, and then we want to copy and paste it again. Let's just color code this next one yellow, and then we want to do what I said before. Go to that first frame, go to the flip tab, and then click this twice, again, and just do that till you're done. And now if you watch it back, should be a bit more noticeable of an effect there. I think it looks great. And then once again, you just want to copy and paste that to add another layer to make it much brighter, and then there we go. I think that looks good. Now that you've got the actual taser web moving in the shot done, now we're going to move on to the part where he's actually getting electrocuted by the web, because we don't just want this and then he's just twitching from nothing. So what we want to do is we want to grab this effect here, which is this one, and we want to go to the part where we can't see that taser web anymore. So just to the very end of it, we want to get this effect right here. Let's put it down all the way to the bottom here, and we just want to go to the frame where it's already electrocuting. So let's just go about here, just whatever one you think is the best. Let's go actually to about this one here. Let's delete that chunk and then go and just put it to the end of this part here so it starts immediately. So you just want to go across to the part where the guy basically stops getting electrocuted. So let's go about here. I think this would be good, because then it can stop and then he just falls. So it gets on him and then he gets electrocuted. Yeah, I think that'll work. Now, sort of the same thing of what I said earlier about making this brighter. You want to go to the effects tab, go to border, and then put that on top, and then it makes it much more glowy than it was. And then what you want to do is go down to basic, go down to drop shadow, select the color to like a very light blue, put the distance all the way down, put the opacity all the way up, put the blur down a little bit, and then it looks much more glowy. Then what you want to do is you want to double click on the effect, go to effects, go to border, and change the color to light blue like it was before. Now the color is just a little bit off to what the actual taser web was, so I'm going to go back to video, back to drop shadow, and make the blue a more vibrant blue like that. Now you can see a bit of a difference to how it was before and how it is now. Now it matches the actual effect a bit better. So now that you have that out of the way, what you want to do next is you want to go to the start of the effect and you want to just unlock this so you have more free movement. What you want to do is you want to size it down very small at first. So let's go about here and put it to where that previous taser web was, so about here. And let's just make it a little bit smaller. I think that looks about right. I'm just going to quickly change the color of this because I don't think it matches. Alright, I've tried matching it a little bit better. But anyway, now that you have sized this down to the same size of where the taser was before, now what you want to do is you want to go to the start of that new effect here. Let's just color code it to be red. And what you want to do for this one is you want to double click on it and then go to the keyframing tool and then click it, and then you have your first little frame here, which is that little white diamond shape thing, which you'll see more of later. So now that you have that first frame, what you want to do, you want to go across to the next frame, and then you just want to stretch it out a little more. Let's go about here, I reckon. I think that looks pretty good. Kind of looks like he's dancing to the song. Ba ba ba. So yeah, we want to just stretch it out a little bit. I think that looks pretty good like that. And then it's created your second frame like this. There's two frames here, which is this frame and this frame. And then you want to go across to another frame, and then you just want to stretch it out a bit more. Let's go about here. Just position it however you like. And then that's sort of, it's expanding each time pretty much. And then for your final one, what we want to do is we want to put it from one side of his body to the other side of his body. So it's actually just touching the edges like this, like these two little glowy dots, just like that. And then there you go. So you've got one frame, second frame, third frame, fourth frame. So now it's expanded fully onto the guy's body like that. So now what you want to do after you've got that set up is just pretty much keep that same shape the whole time that the guy's getting tased. But each frame you go, so I'm going to go to the next frame, I just want to keep it tracked to the side of his body like this. So now the next frame it's going to stay on his body like that. Now I'll go to the next frame, make sure it's touching the sides like this, and it's staying tracked the entire time. I'll go to the next frame. That already looks pretty decent, but I'm just going to adjust it a little bit just in case. And go to the next frame. Now he's actually moving up just a tad, so I'm just going to move it up just a tad, adjust it, and then the next frame again. Now he's starting to move a little more now, so we're just going to move the actual whole thing about there, I think. And you just keep doing this till it gets to the end of the effect. Now don't do it to the very end of the effect, because there's something that you want to do at the end to make it a bit better. But for now, just follow what I'm doing. Just go again. So you just want to keep it touching the sides each time, and you just want to keep it tracked to the same spot throughout the whole time. Now since he's starting to move on a bit of a weird angle, I'm going to actually tilt it a little bit, maybe like this. So now it's starting to tilt more as he's falling, just like that. And he's still falling, so we just want to keep tracking it more. Hope you guys are keeping up with me right now. And we just want to tilt it even more as he's moving on that angle. I think that's looking really neat so far. Again, move it down just one frame. It's starting to look good, I think. Now I think we'll just do this one more time, which will lead us into the next step. Okay, I think that looks good. Now you've got the first section of the electrocuting. Now you've got 1, 2, 3 frames left, and what we're going to do with those 3 frames is we're going to go to the next frame, and as you can see, you've got all those white dots / diamond shapes, which are all the frames that we've just done here of the tracking, the manual motion tracking. And now you want to go to the next one, which hasn't been tracked yet, and what you want to do is you want to double click on it, and you want to start to make it smaller now, just like this. So basically what this is going to do is as he's falling, it's going to start to get smaller now, and it's going to go into his chest. So we've got our first frame of that, we'll go to our second frame of that, we'll make it a bit smaller, about there, just make it a little bit smaller, let's move it up. And then once you're happy with that, you go to your next frame, make it even smaller again, like so. Just position it to how it looks the best to you. I'm just going to make it really thin as it gets smaller. And I'm going to add another frame actually to make it even smaller. So let's go about that tiny, I reckon. You just want to sort of keep it in the same area of his chest. And I'll add one more. This one's going to be the tiniest one. You can hardly even see it, but you just want to put it in the middle of his chest there. And this basically makes it look a little more realistic as like the web's stopping and just like dissolving pretty much. Just going to move that one down more, move that one down more, and then if you render that and watch it back, it starts small, gets tased, and then it ends small like that. So as the web comes in, hits him, it expands on his chest and stays tracked on his chest for a couple of seconds, and then it gets smaller and then it stops because he's stopped twitching now. So now we'll see what that looks like. Now if you want to adjust it a little bit, you can. So I'm just going to tweak it just a little bit and I'll just be right back. Okay, I just finished tweaking the effect. I actually added another frame at the end because I thought that it dissolved a little bit too quickly at first. So I've sort of just made it a little bit better and made it like dissolve a bit slower, and the effect looks much smoother now. So check this out now. I think that looks much better. So this is almost it for the effect. Let's just see what we have so far. So that is almost it. Now, the last thing that we're going to do is add a smoke effect. Now, we're going to add it for the part where Spider-Man shoots the web and for the part where the taser web dissolves on the bad guy's body. So as it stops, we're going to have a little puff of smoke just come up. And I did that for one of Lucas's other videos where I did taser webs for when he tased Punisher, and I'm going to do the same thing here. So we're going to go to the start again. We're going to get this smoky effect, which I'm not really sure where I got this from. I might have gotten it off YouTube, but I'm sure you'll be able to find some off of Production Crate as well. But if you put this in, we've got this. Yeah, it's pretty low quality, I know, but it'll work perfectly for what we're doing here. So what you want to do is you want to double click on it, go to AI Tools, go to Chroma Key, go to this little select color icon, and then just select the black color that's in the shot. Now it looks even worse, but that's okay because we're going to fix that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to still stay selected on it, and I'm just going to put the offset all the way up, tolerance all the way up, doesn't really matter. You want to go to where the chroma key is and put the edge thickness all the way down, and then put the edge feather all the way up. Then after that, you want to go to the color tab and you want to go down to exposure and brighten it up more. We can put it all the way up, or we can put it about here. I'll put it all the way up. I think that looks pretty good. So if you just put the exposure all the way up, it should look fine. Go to the video tab, go to drop shadow, and then find like a lighter or maybe even a darker gray color. Put the distance all the way down, put the opacity all the way up, and then don't have the blur up too much, just put it maybe around there, around 25. Then on that clip, what we want to do is we want to go to this frame here, the second frame of that effect, which is this one here, and we want to just keep that as our starting frame. Then go to the first frame where Spider-Man shoots the taser web, put that smoke effect on top, and then we want to go, let's unlock that so it's more stretchy. I'm just going to lock these taser webs for the moment just to be safe. I don't want to mess with it. Then we're going to size it down, turn it around, see what that looks like now. So that's about there. We're actually going to tilt it a little more this way, sort of adjust this to how you want it, make it a bit bigger. Now that you have that, you want to put that on Spider-Man's wrist with the taser, and you can sort of see what I'm doing now. now, so a little puff of smoke comes out of the taser webs. And I do this for all of my web effects now as well, and it just makes it look better. Now I'm actually going to tilt it more downward, probably about here. Now me doing all of these adjustments like the drop shadow and the chroma key and whatever only applies if you somehow find this particular smoke effect, which is a video on YouTube that I found ages and ages and ages ago. But if you find a smoke effect like this on Production Crate, you probably won't have to worry about it. All you'll probably have to worry about is just brightening it up. But anyway, let's get back to this. So I think that looks pretty good like that. I'm just going to shorten the clip about here. Let's go, I think that looks pretty good. So it only lasts about that long now. Now what you want to do is you want to double click on the clip, go to basic and put the opacity down to how you think it feels the best. Now you don't want it too bright, you can just have it really subtle, like down to 15 maybe, and that might look nice like that. We'll test it out. So now you got a bit of a smoke puff coming out of the wrist too. Let's put it down just a little bit more, maybe 12. I think that looks a lot better. Now just to finish it off, just to make it a bit cleaner, you won't really notice this, so you can just go to transitions, get the dissolve transition, and just put that on the end about there, so it has more of a fading out transition. Not that you can really notice it, but it just makes it a little bit better. So now you have your little slight smoke puff effect on top with the taser web, and it just finishes it off. Now what you want to do is you actually want to copy and paste that and put it on top of the effect where the guy is just falling and he's just finished getting tased. So you want to go to about that last frame where you can just really slightly see that taser web, and you want to go and put the start of that smoke effect on that frame there. Now let's put the opacity up all the way just so we can see it, and what we're going to do is we're going to position it on his chest where that taser web is. Now what this is going to do is just going to like give it a little bit of smoke from that electricity, which sort of makes it look cooler. So about there, maybe we can have it more at an angle. Now I'm going to get rid of that end transition for the moment, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to double click on it, press the keyframing tool, and go all the way to where you can't really see the smoke anymore, and just put it up to like here. Now what this does is it makes it move more in the sky, because if you looked at it before it didn't really move much. So basically what this is doing is it's moving the clip at the same time as the actual smoke. Now I'm going to drag it out even more, put this up more, put it towards the end more. And then once you're happy with it, you can sort of see the smoke, and then you can put the opacity back down. I'll probably put it down to like 15. That sort of just gives it a little more of a realistic effect. I might just put the opacity up more, and then you can just put your dissolve transition back on there, render it, see what it looks like. And I think that looks pretty decent. Could be a little bit better, but maybe I'll tweak it more when I work on this effect more for the video for Lucas. But yeah, this is pretty much the effect. That's pretty much finished. So we've got the taser and we've got the smoke. Now I'm not going to do sound effects for this because this is for Lucas. He's going to be adding the sound effects later for the video. But this is pretty much it for the actual effect itself. But if you do want to add some little optional tweaks to the effect, you can add this blue glow PNG like I stated earlier on in the video, and you put it on top of the taser web and you lower the opacity and you just track it onto the effect, and it gives it a little more glow and it stands out a little better. I didn't put this into the tutorial though because it's just like a little optional tweak that you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but it does make the effect look a little better. Another additional effect that you can put on top of this to make it stand out a little better is making the clips actually flicker when the thug is getting electrocuted. If you really want me to do a tutorial on that, I will, but that effect is really simple. I'm sure there's probably a tutorial out there that'll teach you how to do that, but other than that, pretty much everything here is finished. So let's have a look at the final product, shall we?
Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself.
Alright guys, well that's officially it for the Spider-Man Taser Web tutorial. I'm really sorry that this dragged on for about half an hour. I actually didn't expect it to go for that long, but I think it's just because we technically did two effects today. We did the one where Spider-Man shoots the taser, and we did the effect where the taser actually electrocutes the thug, so that's probably the reason why it went longer than I thought it would, but... Anyway, I'm not exactly sure if I'm going to make a shorts version of this tutorial, because usually when I upload tutorials I make shorts versions for more like advanced editors where it just quickly skims through the tutorial, but considering that this one's a little more complicated and a lot longer, it's going to be really difficult to trim this down to just 1 minute, so I'll see what I can do. But at the moment I hope you learned something new from this tutorial, and I hope that it was in depth enough and wasn't too confusing for you. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you learned something new, and I hope it helped you with your fan film or your Spider-Man project. Also, if you've just come for the tutorial video and you haven't watched Lucas's Bye 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 video, if you haven't watched it already, please go and watch the actual video, because it is just such a really good recreation of the dance and fight. And if you leave a comment and a like and subscribe to Lucas, I think you'll really appreciate it, because him and his friends put a ton of work into that video, and I was just so happy and glad to be able to be a part of the project and do some of the VFX for it. So yeah, as I said, if you haven't seen it already, I strongly recommend going to check it out, and I'm going to leave the video and Lucas's channel in the description below. But other than that, just leave a comment in the comment section of what you thought of the tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.